all you carnivores out there. My name's Tom, your neighborhood butcher, and today we're going to compare and contrast Wagyu sirloin to regular choice sirloin. Today, we're really going to take a look at this muscle and see if it's worth the price you pay at the service counter. All right, let's pop these open and really take a look at these muscles and just see consistency-wise, graining-wise, if it's worth it to buy for say 15, 16 bucks a pound in the service counter, that nice thick piece of Wagyu sirloin. Now, right here, we're going to cut this piece of meat up. You see how that graining goes along there? That gives you a good indication of what the front to back looks like and which way you need to cut that. Remember, you're always cutting across the grain. You never want to try to cut with the grain because then it's a worse eating experience. Oh, look at that marbling. It's really good looking. Just think of it this way. If you're trying to say bite across these grains, it's going to be harder. But if you're trying to bite down into these grains, it's going to be much easier to bite down into it rather than try to bite across them for a better eating experience. I'm cutting these up right now for the service counter. I usually put them in portion size at 1.5 inches, almost 2 inches thick. That's how thick we cut these because they are a beautiful grilling steak and definitely deserve to be cut at that 1.5 to 2 inch thick ratio. Look at those pieces of meat. Don't those look gorgeous? God, the marbling is just amazing on them. All right, and here we go. Now this is a regular top sirloin, and you see that's back to front. I'm going to show you what the back looks like. See, there's the front of it, and there's a lot of gum and a lot of weirdness, and there's the back of it right there. So if you cut that sirloin right across that muscle right there, that is called the medallion sirloin. And you'll see these in service counters. Sometimes it's a beautiful piece of meat, in my opinion. There it is, right there is that medallion sirloin. Again, we're going to cut the junk off the front of this thing. All that stuff up there at the top of the picture is stew meat or stir fry. And, it's kind of nice because that sirloin is going into your stew meat, which sirloin makes a pretty good stew meat, in my opinion. But you can already see, you see the picture on the right, you see the picture on the left. You can already see the difference between these two pieces of meat as far as marbling. I mean, we're really going to stop here in a second and take a look at these close up and really get a judge. On the right, this is choice sirloin. On the left, this is your Wagyu sirloin. And you can see all the little pieces of fat, they almost look like little lightning bolts. And, it's called microfat, in my opinion, anyway. At least that's what I call it. And you can see that the choice sirloin on the right just doesn't have as much marbling. It's raised a little bit different. The Wagyu sirloin has a specific way that it's raised. They really take care of those cows to help really make sure that marbling goes all through the muscle, even when you're buying a piece of sirloin, which traditionally is a pretty lean piece of meat. I mean, it's probably on the bottom rung of what I would consider grilling steaks, your tenderloin, your T-bone, porterhouse, New York strip boneless, and then your ribeye. And then you would have your sirloin and your petite sirloin as far as some of the best. In my opinion, if you want to put them in best to worst, tenderness wise, we go tenderloin, and then we go ribeye, and then we go porterhouse, T-bone, New York strip, and then sirloin being at the bottom. Now, if you want to put them in flavor ratio, you go ribeye being the top, and then you'd go filet mignon or tenderloin, and then you'd go T-bone, porterhouse, New York strip, and then sirloin again. So in every situation, flavor-wise or tenderness scale-wise, that's what it is. And little microfat, you see what I'm pointing at right there? That is the microfat. That is beautiful stuff when it comes to why this is worth the money. Because it's not like a big chunk of fat that you have to cut out of that piece of meat. It is a little tiny sliver of fat that as you cook it, that fat melts, and it really kind of expands that grain a little bit. It flavors that grain, and it is just a beautiful tasting piece of meat when it has all that microfat in it. This is the big difference between, say, a prime to a choice to a select. Select looking more like what you'd see on the right hand side here as far as the sirloin, and then choice prime being kind of what you're seeing on the left. Now I wouldn't consider this prime. It's more of a choice Wagyu, but it has prime characteristics as far as the microfat and how much fat it has into it. Prime would be a lot more fattier than this in my opinion, and the fat would be more consistent as you went through the muscle. But this is a beautiful representation of Wagyu choice sirloin that you'd find in lots of service counters across the country as you're shopping in your little, local grocery stores. So in my opinion, looking at these two comparisons, Tom, your neighborhood butcher, would suggest you buy the Wagyu sirloin. It's going to be way more consistent. It's going to have nice flavor to it. It's going to be more tender. And then you'd buy maybe the sirloin if you're looking for just a little cheaper price point. But what's sad is like even regular sirloin nowadays is in that $12 to $13 a pound. And then your Wagyu sirloin is $15.99, $15 to $16 a pound. To me, it's worth it. But if you're trying to save, then you buy your regular sirloin. You guys, it's time for me to get out of here. I hope you enjoyed this compare and contrast between choice sirloin and Wagyu sirloin. So shop smart at the grocery store, and hey, thank you for hanging out with me and looking at these two pieces of sirloin. Thank you very much and have a great day. Hopefully, I taught you a few things and we learn on what to look for at the grocery store. Please like and subscribe. Bye now.